to work on in the lead up to potentially the November Major and Sixth Invitational. Dire Wolves are going to be looking to capitalize on this roster change. BG Man, there he is in chat. He's going to be subbing in for Sapper, longtime player, and I thought he was the captain of this team. Perhaps it's Onigiri. But definitely a leadership figure for this roster, Sapper is, and no Sapper on Elevate is going to look very, very strange during this match.
Yeah, and I guess to quickly just kind of wrap it all up as well, we don't necessarily know exactly why they're playing with this exact lineup. Of course, Sapper could be unwell or all kinds of things, and that happens sometimes. But I think overall, the fact that their roster just isn't the same as it is week to week or day to day, I feel like that's just going to create some inconsistencies. But we can be proven wrong right here, right now. Elevate certainly have a good opportunity to defeat Dire Wolves. As you mentioned, Dev, they really are on, you know, like the edge of relegations in general. They're on that lower end of the standings. So this is a really important game for Dire Wolves in particular, just to continue to fight to at least try and stay out of that position and try and get themselves a playoff berth, because they got it in Stage 1, completely missed it in Stage 2, and they're on the bottom here in Stage 3.
That's it. Elevate just missed out on playoffs for Stage 2 at 2 different points, just missing it out to IG. And yeah, being in the bottom of the standings, definitely not where they want to be tonight. That rounds off the ban phase. Thatcher stays in, Wamai out. And with that Flores out, we're likely going to see a lot of projectiles, a lot of Jaeger to try and protect those deployable shields. And with Mirror off the cards, that's going to be even more important for leveraging power positions for the defenders.
Yeah, Flores ban in particular, and Oregon, such a strong ban. We're starting to see it really be the mainstay default ban, even ahead of Thatcher, just because, yeah, those Rotero drones just absolutely shred through a lot of the holds that you do on Oregon. It's just one of those tighter maps that can really, you know, gel well with shields and all kinds of utility to slow down your opponents. Some good bans, but general bans here for Oregon. And right here, I'm loving the 6 pick already from Dire Wolves. Off the Echo onto the Clash.
I don't know. I'm not sure about Clash. I have my concerns. I sometimes have confidences. I feel like it's a decent pick against a team like Elevate, which is not afraid to just swing. Like, you can put a deployable shield there, and Elevate might still just swing you and win that fight, but you can't do that with the Clash so much. But in terms of utility on the Elevate side, strange seeing both the IQ and the Twitch does leave a little bit to be desired in the explosives department. It's only the Zephyr in the Maverick. No Yana, no Finka, no extra set of nades, no Sledge, no Ash. That's the surprising bit to me. And I think that Elevate are going to have to make sure that they do their due diligence here, as there are 2 deployable shields plus the Clash as well to deal with.
Yeah, I think the Clash is definitely most effective on this laundry defense, right? Like, I think I've seen it most effectively played around Bunker, around Pillar. It just is that extra kind of obstacle to have to deal with. And we've seen in the past couple of Playdays that Elevate have just generally struggled some cohesion as a team, like they were having so strongly in Stage 1 in particular. But it's just factors like that that have kind of really just dropped off for Elevate. So I don't know, I feel like this Clash could pose some issues, but then again, there are some counters on the board for Elevate, in particular with that Zofia, to really take it out nice and easily.
Yeah, it's easier said than done though. Sometimes you've got those concussions and you still can't land the shots onto the Clash's leg. How many times have we seen that in the past? It looks like Nerix for now. The newest member of this team came up from the Academy roster. Guys mentioned it. Elevate, one of the few teams in, I'm going to say, all of Rainbow Six Esports. It's definitely not commonplace in the game to utilize that Academy roster rule set to bring in an extra subs to your team and develop them up to being core members. Nerix is the exception.
On that note too, I mean, he only played 1 map so far, but in that map, he's actually gone out to be the highest rating on the Elevate roster. Now, I mean, they haven't had the greatest stage, so of course, overall, their stats are a bit lower than we'd come to expect, but at least it goes to show, based on his first map in an official in APAC, you know, he can definitely go toe-to-toe with these players and actually make an impact. So, look, I think that's a pretty positive sign of the experiment there, and we're seeing globally that some of these new explosive players can really have an impact.
Aggressive setup from Direwolves using the clash to try and make these angles work. Looking into Freezer. The Elevate haven't committed to any push as of yet, but you get the vibe very much that they are not going for blue or elbow, which is why we see Direwolves have rotated some of their setup. Only 40 seconds left, though. How much do we rate this 5v5?
I mean, this has got to be on the defense, right? Like, this just feels like it's been very pressure off or hands off to say from Elevate. They're not going to have really much control. Like, look at all the positions here for Direwolves. They've got the denial, the angles, everything needed to be able to hold this round.
But here come the smokes and here comes the execute. Concussions as well, but Ray still holds firm. And it's going to be a rear drop for some of these Elevate players. And indeed, Jackie Wu is there to hold on as players drop like flies. But Onigiri goes large. Souffle gets out of dodge. And the 2-on-2, the defenders will win. And guess what? It's all thanks to the clash. They can stare her down, but they cannot take her out before that timer hits 0.
Well, that was wild. Just unreal. I mean, like, Elevate didn't feel like they did a massive amount of work, you know, in that kind of 2.5 minutes. Like, they did some general kind of progression in terms of the attack, you know, opening hatches and just enabling themselves some pathings. But at the end of the day, like, they just dropped and went, and Onigiri kind of went off, and that was it. I don't know, Dial was just absolutely... I'm going to use the famous word within our team, capitulated. They really had all the advantages needed there, and I don't know, it just absolutely faded away from them before their eyes.
Would you believe that the first pick that round came out with 11 seconds on the clock? 11 seconds. There was not a lot of time between Elevate saying, okay, let's finally pull the trigger, and that round ending. But when you give yourselves 11 seconds to find 5 kills, I think you can't be too surprised when you miss one.
Yeah, very true, Dev. But look, I think Direwolves, I think this is where like the mental game is always important, right? Like Direwolves did a lot of things really well in that round. Like they stayed very patient, they had great positioning, their setup seemed fine. If anything, they just collapsed when the pressure came on from Elevate. So I'd say, if anything, they've just got to really work on standing their grounds. And maybe if they feel like that there's a bit of a stall, maybe they could be the aggressors. I know that's a bit of a risk in terms of you could always lose that pick, but something to destabilize that absolute flooding that kind of came from Elevate there in the late parts of that round.
We're seeing Onigiri on one of his old favorites, the Finker. No longer is she an off-meta pick that we would classify as, oh, that's a bit of a Thailand spice, isn't it? Nope, now she's just staple run-of-the-mill. We see so many teams globally really leaning into the Finker. But Onigiri was the OG, and he made a good entry on that previous attack. It also means that Elevate have a lot more explosives available to them than they did last round. 2 nades plus the Gon 6. I wonder whether that Gon 6 may be used to enable a quick jump in here. 2 Elevate players ready outside big window.
I was literally just thinking the same, actually, but window looks like it's open. They're actually going to use that to just pop some drone in to figure out positions. That is a beautiful push there from Napier off that info to clear out Ray. Just absolute sitting duck. And that's going to give Elevate that opening pick.
Big lurk downstairs for Napier. ED just around this corner. Who will make sound? Who will hear the other? I sure hope you've got your gaming headset on right now, ED. You might just hear him, and you do! That's a reply back, an eventual refrag. It took a very long time, but that does put Direwolves back on the map. And beautiful, mate. Fantastic from BG Man. And Elevate turn up the heat.
Only one on side as well. This is really going to be a bit of a task here for Souffle as ED's trying to find his way back. He's going to have to try and get a flank on, but DCH is holding it perfectly from the bottom of Freezer. Souffle's got a lot to find, but Elevate find him first, and that was a really dominant response here.
Indeed it was. There was just about no point that round where it looked like Direwolves had a look in. Elevate picked them to pieces, and on that, Direwolves now have a bit of thinking to do. Do they go back to kids' dorms where they just had their backsides handed to them?
I think there's a lot they could do better for sure. So why not? I mean, they're not going to be able to go back to laundry. So I think there's so much that they can change to fix this kid's dorms that they may as well go for it as opposed to their tertiary and keep that up the sleeve for later. In particular, just, I don't know, I feel like they just really afforded so much to elevate early. And on that room clear, can't help but just picture, I think it was poor Ray just caught sleeping really in the server room next to kitchen.
Yeah. Very common to hold downstairs and very common to push downstairs. Very uncommon that you see a player just crouch walk on through and take that map control for free.
Yep.
Curious that we're seeing the Thatcher make his appearance. BG Man's been on the Mav and making good use of those nades previously, but Thatcher could well be an assistance if Elevate look to make a more hard breach focused take. And that does kind of make me think this is surely going to be a closet push, master closet, but when Pika's running the shotgun on Thunderbird and opening this closet wall for an extended hold, surely that Thatcher is not going to be hugely impactful.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the Thatcher then is really going to have the most impact kind of towards Attic, but you're right. It's a very interesting little extension here that looks like we're going to see out of Direwolves. I'm really curious how it pans out because I feel like I haven't seen too many extensions really pan out positively for the defense. And this is such a tough position to play from. I mean, that Aruna gate is really all that stands between Pika and a frag grenade death here. So if this can be coordinated well with Elevate, this could be a nice, quick early pick.
Oh. He did manage to cross at the perfect time when Onigiri had the nade out, so he does manage to get out of dodge. Takes a lot of damage, and the second nade, he thought he was climbing to safety to that Kona station, but no, it packed a punch and not the usual kind.
Yeah, not the good kind. And now this is where it's a really risky situation, right? Like if Direwolves don't manage to get over and do that reinforcement because they still have it in the pocket. Oh, wait, hang on a second, Dev. DCH has just jumped straight in through Attic. This could be absolutely brutal.
I seem to have a read on it. I don't know whether it was a sound cue or something else, but Direwolves seem to be aware as 3 players stack upside the big window. Napew pushing from below. Underneath White stairs, he lurks, waiting for some pressure. Position revealed, and he does land that shot. Ray goes down. Direwolves being picked apart here. And it looks like Dorms may be another win for Elevate as they move forward. Napew, he's taken matters into his own hands. ED far off sight in a 1 versus 5. Not looking like he's going to get anything done. The plant is just about to be secured. And hey, nice shot there, Napew. Bit of an ego move there with the pistol. You can sit out the rest of this round as ED tries his best for the clutch. But he doesn't get a second. Elevate lock in 2 straight attacks onto Dorms.
Very dominant ones at that as well. I mean, that one in particular, just, that was Elevate through and through. That was, yeah, quite painful for Direwolves, and certainly I'm sure they're not going to go there anymore, and that they won't. They're just going to go straight back to Laundry, but this is where it gets a bit worrisome, right? I mean, they won Laundry, bit of a strange round overall, but they just seemed like they could not make it happen on Dorms in the slightest. Like, even after the reattempt, it just seemed even worse. So, I don't know. They're going to have to win something outside of Laundry because otherwise they're facing a 2-4 half.
Cheeky 6-pick here from Souffle. It wasn't him who played the clash on the last Laundry defense, but it was Ray. Instead, they decided to bait out to Elevate that there would be a clash present and use that to hide their pulse pick, which might help Direwolves get a bit of a better read on where Elevate are going to push. You think about all those players in meeting. If Mandy goes up 1 floor right now, we'll see that just above this bomb site is all this hard floor. Pulse, of course, can see through that. Thank you, Mandy, our wonderful observer. I feel like Direwolves should be pretty locked in here for this round, but mostly just because of the lack of everything that we saw on Elevate's previous attack of this bomb site.
Yeah, like I feel like, I mean, I would just love to find out whether that was intentional or whether something in particular stalled them out. Because, you know, sometimes you don't quite see that maybe they thought a player was lurking somewhere. So they're like, hey, let's hard drone that. Let's spend a minute droning that and try and flush them out. And then they realize there's no one there. You know, sometimes that can be the source of a stall. Like, it's really hard to say. But, yeah, it was a really strange attack overall from Elevate. And if they just had more time, maybe they could have changed the tide there. So I think if anything, that's what Direwolves need to focus on, is just stall them out, kind of try and emulate a similar thing that happened in round 1.
I was actually looking to go for a bit of a looser roam here. Last time it was a 5-man sight hold. Onigiri just really getting to know those concrete bricks right there. And you can see hatches open, or specifically just this server hatch. Also lobby hatch unreared. Wonder why that is for Direwolves, whether they've used that elsewhere. Still trying to play a bit aggressively at the moment, as Elevate still haven't really made much progress whatsoever on this roam clear. You mentioned the slow pushes that we've seen from them. Perhaps a manifestation of these roster changes, but team comms has been a little bit of work.
Direwolves, they had 3 players at one stage, all on that roam. Now it's all down to Souffle, as we saw the other 2 kind of rotate back through the rear stairs. Which is very curious, because as you were saying, Dev, you know, very easy to be a pulse on this site, right? You can stand very comfortably under some hard floor, not really worry about that vertical pressure. Of course, you can get pushed from the side, but for the better part of this round, that just hasn't been the case for Souffle. He was actually over in kitchen. Maybe again, just trying to assist that roam, but now he's back on site. Elevate really making some additional progress, as Onigiri is still becoming even more acquainted with that concrete brick pile.
Got to learn all about your bricks, but he can still use his ability wherever he is on the map, thankfully. Souffle. Once again for Elevate, not really committing to anything particular. Pika just at the bottom of the stairs, what we like to call Harry Potter. As that Banshee gets dismantled, so too does Elevate as picks start raining through, and Souffle plays a mean Scorpion as he bites down hard, and Elevate have to move.
That was very brutal there from Direwolves, and Nerix, he's actually managed to find a pick, but still a 2 versus 4, 30 seconds to go. They don't have a lot of control here. It's going to be a tough recovery, Dev.
Oh, and Pika gets a 3rd. Can he find the 4th? Napier, the last man standing. ED steals it from him. Direwolves, another convincing laundry defense for them, but I've got to say, how can you not love watching that Scorpion in the hands of Pika?
That was pretty nutty from him. Definitely a really nice little triple, and a bit refreshing, because I feel like we've just seen so many FO12 kind of strats coming out of Ella these days. It's kind of nice to see someone go off a bit with the Scorpion, but...
With an angled grip, no less. I mean, that thing hits...
True!
It kicks like a mule.
He was looking sharp with it as well. It's certainly impressive for someone that's lacking a bit of skill like myself these days, but...
I feel you, mate.
2-2, I think that's... as expected. This is where it starts to get interesting, because Laundry is now off the table for the remainder of the half for Direwolves. They're yet to win a round elsewhere. So this is where it's crucial for them to stand up, and I love it. They're not going to Dorms Dev. They actually are going to try a different site.
Yeah, if Direwolves are only able to defend Laundry supply, I mean, there's a cap to how much that can really help you, right? Like, yeah, you could be the best Laundry supply team in the world, right? 100% win rate. But if you can't win other sites, you're still going to lose the half 4-2. And that's why I've got confidence in Elevate here. I think that, well, this is the right move for Direwolves, as you say, going to meeting kitchen. But Elevate looked pretty strong on their Dorms attacks. I guess it does beg the question how they'll fare here on meeting. I have confidence in them, but it depends on how they decide to address this setup. Direwolves have put a lot of investment upstairs. A lot of utility with the electrical. Ooh, an open wall strat.
Just looking at that, I was questioning my mind for ages. I'm like, is that open? And that it is. Yeah, they've just got the Surya gate over it. But I think the biggest difference here is on Dorms, you know, it can be a little bit tricky to really stall out your opponents, because a lot of that attack kind of like builds momentum from outside. So you can't directly contest outside that easily. This is a bit different, I guess. Like, you can contest dining at least, and you can contest tower a little bit, but I think that's still going to be a tricky element for Direwolves. So I'm definitely favoring Elevate on this attack, but I'm hoping by this point Direwolves have kind of understood what's been really working out in terms of getting those laundry defenses over Elevate.
Elevate have taken this map control of Small Tower, looking to pressure Dining, as you said. Oh, DCH. Good pre-fire, just misses. And he backs on out after deploying those air jabs. Elevate trying to dictate the map and ensure there's no rotation, ensure they have this map control. You can cut off those two doorways and no one can move to the west side of the map. Souffle tries to hold off this pressure inside of Kitchen, but Nerex now has made a gaping hole in that defense.
Yeah, really good progress here, but Napier actually got down from a challenge from Jackie Wu in meeting. He is going to be saved, and on top of that, Onigiri has managed to find Souffle, so that's that Echo player. Those Yokai is not going to come into play any longer. So this has started to fall in towards Elevate's favor as they've really started to get some really good map control as well.
Starting to feel a bit worried now for Direwolves. 4v5, but that map control is slipping away, and Elevate are maintaining some very strong positions here. DCH upstairs, really cutting that off. BG Man does find another opener. Here comes the push now as Elevate start to collapse and Direwolves roll over. It's just Jackie Wu now, and ED, as map control has just gone away. There's so much info. Nice shot there, but surely the refrag will come through as Jackie Wu really starts to feel this pressure, and it's all him alone in the one-on for Elevate. No longer have to hunt. They have the site, and they can just defend it as Jackie Wu looks to try and peek this door. Nice shot there. Oh my God, there was a moment, just a fleeting moment, where I thought he could have made that work, but Elevate lock it in and take the lead.
I felt that. I felt that moment too. I was like, he could do this, but no, it really fell away quickly. And I mean, as did Direwolves again on that defense, just Elevate. Once they get that map control, it's just kind of over. It's so weird that it hasn't been able to translate for Elevate onto Laundry, but also vice versa. It's strange to me that Direwolves haven't been able to translate what they're doing so well on those Laundry defenses to any other site here on Oregon. And I know they do play out significantly differently, but regardless, this is just, you know, 3 rounds outside of Laundry that have just not looked close for Direwolves.
If I was Direwolves, I would stop putting any effort whatsoever into learning how to defend basement. Like, it almost doesn't matter at this point. Like, for Elevate as well, like, I feel like any team watching this could just be like, we don't really need to learn how to attack basement. We can just forfeit those rounds for free. As long as we have really good attacks on the other 3 bomb sites, we're still guaranteed to, like, if we can get 100% on those other bomb sites, even if we have 0% downstairs, it doesn't really matter, does it?
So true. I mean, I hate to do it, but Guz and Xenox have always banged on about the importance of dorms in general in terms of your defense or just your half on Oregon. It's one thing to be winning your Laundry attack or defense, but dorms seems to be the kicker. And in this case, it is with Direwolves. Like, imagine if they were proficient in dorms, Direwolves could be looking at a 4-2 half quite comfortably. But the fact is, 2 out of 2 so far, Elevate have absolutely annihilated them on these dorms defenses.
We often talk about maps like, oh, this is a 2 bomb site map, this is a 3 bomb site map. How many bomb sites are viable or defense are favored on a map? And, you know, you look at a map like Clubhouse, you're like, oh, there's 3 really good bomb sites there. You look at a map like Oregon these days, it's starting to feel like a 1 bomb site map, isn't it?
It's a little bit. It is a little bit. And Napier is going to find that opening onto Souffle. That is, in fact, the earliest opening kill for the entire half so far, so not a great one from Direwolves. They've gone for this extension yet again in through Master. And, I mean, that didn't really play a factor just then, but it's certainly a risky strat, especially the fact that it's not really played out for them that well previously.
Quiet moment now as Elevate just start to drone out. They've managed to maintain so many drones through this. Only lost 2 so far, just about halfway through the round. Like you said, Elevate can get most of the job done from outside. of the building, and that's really all they need as Ray starts to move up. He's so exposed here. The nades run through, and he gets aggressive here. I feel like aggression is exactly what Direwolves need right now.
Yeah, it can be a tricky position to get aggressive from, but bonus there, he's been able to open or deploy that Surya gate again, so that means that Elevate are going to have to use some utility or some kind of throwable like a drone to clear that to actually jump in. Pika still on the prowl here, all the way from Small Tower, I believe that was. So, look, bit of flank potential, and that is just something that Direwolves in general are going to have to make work, because I'm just noticing they've got a lot of players really off-site / in a position to have that kind of impact, and that's what's going to be needed to turn this round.
Once Elevate realize the side presence is weak, and there's so many roamers down below, that's when Elevate will pounce. Look at this from ED! Oh, what an aggressive and ambitious play, jumping up outside the building. But he is shut down. Napier will not fall for that. And now the 4v3, as time continues to tick down, Elevate go deep, but the prone pick is too good. Jackie, we're ready for it. DCH can't land the shots, and the shotgun now may well lock it in. Plant going down. Jackie Wu and Pika. The pistol! 3 frag! It's all Pika versus Onigiri. Time is on the line, but Pika gets it done. A 1 versus 3 clutch for the Alibi. And Direwolves finally break that curse.
Wow. Oh my god, the end of that round was just absolutely nuts. It was like ED's little run out to White Van was a bit of a battle cry to just ensue chaos. And that's basically what happens. Look, great job to Direwolves, I guess in particular Pika, right? Like, we highlighted he was looming off site for quite a while, and in fact wasn't really having the massive impacts. And in the end, his flank is what made that impact. We kind of called that out as well, the fact that they had players off site like ED and Pika. They needed to make something happen because it was seemingly going to be another Elevate Dorms round. But yeah, my word, that was just nuts, Steph.
It's just one of those rounds where a player sits offsite the entire round, has no impact, does nothing, and then comes back and clutches the 1v3. Just one of those rounds, you know? The teammate that you're complaining about in the early mid-round is like, where is my teammate? They're pressuring me on site. And you just can't complain at the end of it because you're like, well, they did just win the round. So I guess I just have to suck it up. And I will say Peak is having an absolutely ripper game. He popped off on the Ella, popped off on the Alibi, and now he switches onto the attacking side. He's on that hard breach for Direwolves, and I'm expecting to see even more from him. But really, it's Direwolves who need this win more than Elevate. Of course, Elevate are really sitting at the bottom of the standings at the moment, underperforming unbelievably in Stage 3, but Direwolves are the ones risking relegations.
Yeah, I think that's a great point about like the difference of positions, right? They're both at the bottom of the standings right now for the stage, but in very different positions in terms of what the implication of that means in terms of ending the stage like that. And no, Pika has been spawn peaked or something here by Napier. That's the Habana off the board. That is not great for Direwolves.
Yep, definitely quite a statement to make. Napier on his 3rd opening kill this game, and a spawn peak no less. I always hate spawning that front side, always hate it. There are so many different peaks from lobby. And you always think to yourself, if I'm trying to fight someone in lobby, I have so much more color than them. Surely I'll win that fight. But you never do. I'm telling you. Like, there's something about being aggressive in lobby. It always works for the defense.
Seems to be. But look, Direwolves going to have to get their skates on, try and make something happen here. Jackie Wu just ate half a C4 or something, because that didn't look too great. This is looking a bit difficult. Is he just face-checking a whole lot of upstairs? I'm not really sure what he's doing. Constantly running back and forth, but Dials just look a little bit disorganized here.
Yeah, and with no Hibana, it does get a little bit more difficult here for opening these hatches. It's all on Souffle. For any potential breach on the walls on site, well, I mean, you can basically say goodbye to that. That long-range hard breach. You can see the way that Nerix has double reinforced this as an adaptation for the late round, trying to just forfeit Freezer, not play aggressively, but also save those extra angles into the late round. as Dire will start to mount up for what looks to be a rear push. Elevate have also forfeited in elbow as well.
Yeah, coming down to the final minute, this is going to start to get really crucial, and this is good. Elevate, they do have some really good post-plant utility and positions now, getting themselves set up for denial in particular. Snarix with that full line of sight. And look at this, they've got a couple of C4s. This could be a big one, doesn't hit the mark. Direwolf's going to have to try and find an opening, and that could be it. Jackie Wu evening out that man count coming into this final 40 seconds.
Oh, nade from Souffle! Oh, it's perfect! BG Man is out! And the Maverick does wonders here. Nerex has to deny this plant with the C4, but time is ticking. He gets it! Jackie Wu barely survives. It's a 2-on-2. Souffle full HP, but Jackie Wu holding on for dear life with the diffuser in hand on Agiri. Wondering whether it's the right moment to sneak up the hallway. Nerex finds one, the newest member of the roster with the team captain. They clean up. And a scary round for Elevate. They managed to recompose.
Scary indeed. That really felt like it was about to slip away there. Direwolves just on the brink of some laundry success on the attack side. That C4 ultimately was the deal breaker from the Elevate side. I believe it was Nerex's C4 onto Electrical, just taking out Pika, I believe it was, and then taking poor Jackie Wu low. It made it a really tough position in that 2v2. And look, that would have been absolutely devastating for Elevate to have lost that first defense on Laundry in particular. I feel like that really could have, or this round in particular might be looked back on as a bit of a tide turner in this series.
Yeah, it could well be. Elevate probably shouldn't have won that round, but if anything, that does give me a little bit of confidence in Direwolves, despite losing that Hibana early on, despite losing their top fragger early on. They pulled through, and Souffle was worth his weight in gold on the Maverick. But another storyline to pump. Direwolves only have won a single match in Stage 3 of APAC South so far. It was against Q-Confirm. They've already made one Thai team bleed, a 7-3. Now they're up against the other Thai team, but it is, of course, the beasts of APAC, the kings of Thailand, Elevate, who have just consistently been such a strong team up until Stage 3, it seems, where they've started to choke a little bit. End of Stage 2 got scary for them. And they just haven't looked quite the same. This is their redemption as much as it is for Direwolves as well.
Yeah, I'd definitely argue that for Elevate, it really feels like it's been a bit of a slow choke since Stage 2, right? Like they came out of Stage 1 super confident. They started Stage 2 fairly well, but towards the end, in particular playoffs, was quite unconvincing. I mean, they actually did get quite close to still qualifying for the major, but it felt like it was the biggest stumble across the finish line or towards the finish line I've seen in quite a while. And the fact they've opened Stage 3 with this difficulty is not great, and neither is the fact that they've just lost on Agiri in the first 30 seconds here. This is a really good opening kill from Pika.
Really cheeky. You see so many players these days, they just open a tiny part of the barricade, or they'll look for a tiny gap in a barricade and just watch diligently the angle. And forfeiting a pick like that can be so impactful at this level of play. Another open hold here. Both of these teams really favoring that aggressive open master hold. Ray says, mate, I don't need a drone. I can toss that one away. My nades are more important. And the ADS will chew up the Gon 6. He needs a nade to follow through and destroy. He could potentially destroy not only the shield, but also the bulletproof camera. But that ADS is going to regenerate before long. And he might have wasted his opportunity. Nerex, though, has stepped up for once again.
Thought DCH was going to use the nasty little pixel angle there, but it seems like he's pulled off it. This is a scary moment here for Direwolves. I mean, they've started the round well, but Elevate are looming, and Napew in particular, he's on this roam up from Laundry Stairs. There's a drone in front of him and a player in meeting that could easily swing on this position. But he's made it through, Dev. This could be absolutely devastating.
How long will he wait before he makes the play? ED's about to crawl up behind him! And Napew on the flank, gets flanked. ED, I think we're watching a bit of deja vu there as he tries to do the exact same thing Ray does and destroy that bulletproof. But the nade should follow through and choke up that position. Oh, the second one also caught by the ADS. Nerex! Oh my God, got a little bit too greedy there. Elevate bleed another pick. As for that refrag, and now 35 seconds, and Elevate are at the end of their rope.
They are, but they've got some really good positions to deny here. In particular, DCH still has that shield. This could be big, and again, that ADS coming in clutch, Dev. So 20 seconds. Direwolves, they may have the man advantage, but they've still got a bit of a clunky push to have.
Power positions held by Elevate, but here comes the push. Jackie Wu reads it, sprays down one, and then the refrags are in abundance. Direwolves just get it across the line. Another nail-bitingly close round, and another tied-up scoreline.
Wild. Yeah, this is starting to become very back and forth, and yet again, we are not seeing a particularly strong defense outside of Laundry. I mean, again, Direwolves, they did manage to win Dorms in round 6. Bit of a close affair. That was a Pika 1v3 clutch. Certainly didn't feel like it should have been that way. And I don't know. There's just something about it in this matchup right here where anything outside of Laundry just feels like it is heavily, heavily going towards the attacker side.
Yeah, it does make you question that late round aggression we're seeing from both of these teams. Like Elevate just then, what they were in the 2v3, and we could see that they had a pretty good chance of winning it. But when we saw, I think it was BG Man get really aggressive on the white stairs, I mean, obviously hindsight's 20/20, but mate, that was the wrong play. Just cut and dried, easy as you like. That was just not going to work for Elevate. But now they get a chance to reflect and reattempt this bomb site. And for the most part, it looks like the same strat. Now we have the Goyo slipping through Onigiri previously on the Legion. So that's even more shields that they'll have to play around.
10 seconds to go.
Always good to have extra shields in the arsenal. And it seems like it was quite the hindrance. I mean, maybe the shields...
I was actually wrong, sorry. Just to quickly correct myself. I think they must have 6-picked the Goyo last round because they did have it. I just went back and checked.
Good one. Match tracker messing up, is it, Dev?
I mean, it's more the user error, you know. There's nothing wrong with my match tracker. It's just, you know, incompetency.
Of course, of course. But yeah, what I was going to say is, like, the shield seemed like they posed a hindrance, but it actually wasn't necessarily the shield itself. It was more that they just really couldn't coordinate the utility to actually clear it properly.
Yeah.
Like, those ADSs caught so many valuable utility pieces. I think it was a gone 6 bullet and 2, maybe even 3 frag grenades in the end, all gone to an ADS just trying to clear the shields.
You know when they changed ADSs, right? It used to be they could just chew up 2 projectiles and then would die, essentially. And then they made it so they can chew up 1 projectile, but it has to recharge after it chews up 1, and then it'll be all recharged again. I feel like that was a pretty significant nerf to ADSs at the top level, because you can now burn through with just 1 projectile, but it was a buff to uncoordinated teams, right? Like, against a team that is not following through during that deactivated window, the ADSs themselves got stronger.
Yeah, look, that's definitely true. You know, it really favors coordination. And again, I don't know what it is with these teams in this really aggressive kind of closet hold here, but hello? Okay.
Oh, refrag, refrag. Oh. Next has popped double digits, now on 11. And you can see why this Academy player was promoted to the core roster. A great read and a great trade.
That's just nuts. And look, I don't blame poor Pika. I thought it was time to get cozy in bed, but not to be. Eric's, he, as you said,
say goodnight.
Bit of a read. Yeah, did say goodnight. And that's going to make it that 4v4. This feels like a bit of a lull, and rightfully so, because only a minute to go. They will still have quite a bit of work to do. And here's Napier again on the roam. Jackie Wu's caught BG Man through vertical play. That could be really big in the context of the end of round.
And so could this flank for Napier. Gets him, polishes him off with the headshot. A bit of a tickle, but he gets another. Oh, that's just Napier for you, isn't it? How does he make it work? And so much for the open hold. It's reinforced over, and Ray's got nothing but a tiny little peekaboo hole to look through. He hasn't found a kill all game, and here he is with the Finker, spear in hands, against 3 players from Elevate with no time, no hope. He does have the diffuser, but that's just about all he's got here. You're going to need that buff as he walks straight into the welcome arms of death, and it's Napier. Of course it is. Another great shot with the Roni, and Elevate once again take that lead.
Napier, a big factor on that round, having that impact on the flank. Just kind of winning a gunfight. He really should have lost at the bottom of the wide stairs, but as you said, you know, that is just Napier. Man is sharp and really turns it on for Elevate. Now, that's a very important defense to win on Dorms. They've now got Laundry unlocked, and that could be the key here for Elevate. They may move to match point. Historically, would feel confident to say that they can move to match point here at 6-4 after this round.
Yeah, Laundry being the bomb site that is unbreakable seemingly in this matchup. We've had 3 defenses, 2 from Direwolves, 1 from Elevate. All of them looked pretty much in pocket, except I will say that Elevate defense we saw at first round of this half opened up with a spawn peek, took down Pika, the Hibana. That's nice. Like that one. It's a lot less hard breach to deal with. It's going to slow Direwolves down a lot. But Souffle stepped in and stepped up for Direwolves. A massive impact on that Maverick. And that made it possible for DW to take Elevate out that round. Before, it was a 2v2 closeout for ELV. I feel like Elevate should win this, but we've seen enough from Direwolves that I don't take it as a given.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And yeah, thinking back to the first Laundry supply defense, round 7, it really was a good, solid fight from Direwolves, which is not what we saw, conversely, from Elevate on their Laundry attacks. It didn't really feel like the greatest of fights, and definitely not as close. So yeah, look, maybe Direwolves had enough of a look in round 7 where they know what they need to do here to pull this out. And if they do actually manage to win this, it certainly puts them in a great position, because conversely, if Elevate can't secure their Laundry defenses, they're going to be in for a really tough ride. But Napier, he just continues his form from the previous round, and that is just a big loss. And poor Ray, he is having an absolutely shocking game.
No doubt about it. 0 and 8. He has died almost every single round, win or lose for the squad. 2 assists, which means that's 2 gunfights that he's likely lost with a bit of damage that then his teammates have refragged at least. I will say Napier, when he's on his shot, when he's feeling it, you just, if he says, mate, I'm going to go roam, you just don't ask questions. You just say, all right, mate, off you go. That's the kind of player he is.
Yeah, definitely is the kind of player you want to give that license. So good time to shine here for Napier. Has moved Elevate just that little bit closer to potentially securing a match point. Still quite a bit of time left in this round for Direwolves, though. Jackie Wu has secured this top floor control and is just going to start to set up some line of sights just to really cut off any rotates that Elevate might try to do late or flanks. But you can see here from the outlines, Elevate all on site generally is what you'll see with Laundry by this point. The halfway, you'll just kind of settle into these really solid positions. 1 at Freezer, 1 pillar, and then the other 3 kind of just float between Elbow and Laundry and just the general rest of basement. So there's not much extra work for Elevate to do right here as a defense. The rest of the work is really on Direwolves to progress things.
I mean, you say there's not a lot of work to be done for Elevate, but it feels like we're watching prep phase again. They just 1 minute left on the round. They're reinforcing 3 new walls, moving all this utility, and that's just a great read from them, right? Like, they understand at this stage in the round where the push is coming on for Direwolves, and they're fortifying their positions.
Yeah, so true. Did see that previously as well. Did work out quite well, but here's Direwolves executing a pretty nice pinch. ED doesn't need to worry about that freezer angle because that was one of the extra reinforcements they did. So he might be able to take a bit of a one-on-one with DCH here towards the end of the hallway. Smoke Babes to help cover though. Is going to just delay that out, and this Direwolves push is starting to become a lot more linear here, Dev.
26 seconds, that's a nice shot for Pika. Nerix goes down on Agiri. Doesn't have a lot of options here as Napier is swung upon Pika once again, but he goes down. 2 players left for Elevate. Could this be the first attack win on Laundry as Onigiri steps up, traded BG Man with the shotgun as Direwolves, they have the info, but BG Man has the clutch potential. And that diffuser gets down on the ground. Shotgun devilishly trying to deal with these angles. They both line up, but he can't land the shots. Direwolves break the curse of Laundry and even up the scoreline once again. We are on break point.
That was nuts, man. Just the fact that Pika could push all the way through Laundry and swing on, in particular, the second player. I've already forgotten who it was, just hanging out at the bomb chassis. But my word, he just pushed deep. And I swear there was still line of sight on those walls, right? That wasn't one of the walls that was reinforced by Elevate. So kind of mind-boggling that Direwolves were able to push that out to that 5 versus 3 in the opening of that execute. But regardless, got to credit to them because it did become a little bit linear. They had to kind of just pinch in a really awkward fashion, but they did a really great job at out-fragging Elevate to give themselves that opening.
And now it's on Direwolves to take their attack. I think it was Direwolves. Do you remember what our producer Brendan said? I swear he said Direwolves. Yeah, yeah, and he's come through and confirmed. I'm sorry, Brendan, I had a bit of a seniors moment there. Attack for Direwolves on the back of winning that round. Is that the right call? Because this is when Elevate can say, all right, guys, we go back to that bomb site, we give it a shot. Now we can have extra time to talk about what we did wrong.
Yeah, I think it could definitely go a couple of different ways. I mean, one can be for Direwolves, hey, like they're probably going to go back to Laundry. Is there something in particular for us to look out for? Maybe that's what it is. Sometimes, total psychological warfare. If you know a team can get frustrated or flustered or tilted or anything, you call the timeout to let that fester. You know, like maybe Elevate are a team that do get quite frustrated when situations like that just happen, and maybe the timeout could be that kind of like psychological poke. But like, yeah, here you go, guys. Argue it out. Go for it.
I love that. I feel like there was an example of that used in way back in the day. Was it in one of the old minors where Team Secret's coach Helby at the time called a tactical timeout against, I think it was G2, just to let them argue. And I think it worked as well. I like that. I love me some psychological warfare in that form. But whatever the case may be, Elevate have actually had some time to chat about some adaptations. Napier off the Mozzie, where he managed to have a 1k roam. And onto the Goyo, really trying to fortify these positions even further. Supported by Onigiri, who's off the leash and on the Thunderbird. So they're looking to take every health advantage they can get.
Yeah, interesting little play. One, I think, big error that Elevate made, and this is my opinion, that they made in their little, you know, mid-round prep phase, whatever you want to call it. They've reinforced the freezer angle that they have open right here. Like the big line of sight that everybody does at freezer to kind of try and hold that crossfire in through Laundry when you have a team push that way. That's the one. Thank you, Mandy. I think reinforcing that was a big mistake because it meant that ED could actually push and swing down freezer just a little bit more comfortably. And also Elevate still couldn't use that to their advantage, which ultimately could have shut down Pika on his little 2k swing that initiated that whole attack. So I like the adaptation about, you know, a secondary prep phase to stick to that term. But I think in this instance, it was actually to Elevate's detriment.
But did they spot Onigiri? I think they did. Jackie Wu needs to catch him off. Onigiri is going to hold on as long as he can. He must have gone for the Spaz 15 primary because that's the only reason I can imagine he would be using the Bearing 9 right now for these longer range fights instead of that Spear 308. But Ray, with the Spear of his own, does plunge it straight into the heart of Napier, and that is a lead-off kill that Direwolves will be very excited about.
Yeah, really big opening pick there. I mean, Napier just in general has been such a big impact player, and important to note here, I don't know how Onigiri is going to hold out. Look at the Bearing 9's ammo count. He's got 26 bullets in the chamber, 11 on reserve. He is going to be out of ammo very quickly, and then he's going to be stuck trying to fight a pretty difficult position with a shotgun. So this is certainly going in favor of Direwolves. Time, though, is something they will have to remain thinking about because it is starting to get to a bit of a tricky or danger point in this final minute.
They're not clearing him very well. The Candela could be the difference maker as they spot his position. He should be full flashed, but that flash doesn't last long at all. And finally, Souffle can take him out. Onigiri was playing for his life, and he did just that. Now a two-man advantage for Direwolves, but look, the utility burned. ED, I believe that's only one Candela left for him. No nades for Souffle. They're really going to be at the end of their rope here. And if Elevate can hold on, it could mean match point for the tie.
Still 3 flashes, though, for Jackie and 2 nades for Ray. I think they've got enough in the books, as well as the man advantage, right? If worst comes to worst, they can push the refrag They're going to have to do something to flush these positions. Elevate still playing pretty fluidly around site, but 20 seconds, Dev. Here we go. Direwolf's got to make this happen.
And here comes ED on the back of the Candela, detonates that shield. That cuts off a position and a half as ED desperately dancing around that angle, and there's a player in sight that he walks straight past, takes him down. BG Man to hold on, and Ray with 2 kills, his first 2 kills of the game. In the round, has to find 2 more. Not gonna happen. He chokes to death. Elevate 3 versus 5. Make the match point work.
Boy, oh boy. I can't believe they lost it from that position. I was so sure Direwolves were gonna close that one out, but credit to Elevate. They stood up strong in their defensive positions to hold off the onslaught. Direwolves aren't able to make that break point happen, as you put it so eloquently, Dev, and now it's Elevate on that match point. 6-5. They want to secure the 3 points. This is a crucial one, and Kitchen Dining the site will be.
Not sure whether it is the play to go Kitchen Dining here. They haven't got dorms locked is the thing, right? Like, they could be going back to dorms, but this is the gamble for Elevate. They're going to a bomb site they haven't yet played. Is this the right choice? Is it a gamble that's going to pay off, or is it potentially the look in for Direwolves to push OT?
Look, great point. I'm looking at stats here. 3 players of Oregon in stage 3 so far for APAC South. Kitchen Dining has only been played once, but it was won by the defense depth. So, hey, maybe there's something in that. But no, I think this is going to be a very interesting round. Kitchen Dining often won or lost by how long you can kind of hold off that small tower control, and I guess the shower control by extension there, as well as above. So I'm kind of curious to see whether Elevate really do a hard hold, as traditionally, kind of through Master or Bunks, to just stop that vertical pressure. I don't know, I feel like there's just so much to think about with this site that makes it the reason, right, that it's just the least picked in all of Oregon at the moment.
Yeah, for once upon a time, it did have a meta. You know, holding showers was viable, not really considered super viable anymore. I do like seeing Napier on the alibi. I think that's an operator he can certainly go big on. And we need Napier to go big. We need him to find an opening pick early. We need him to bring that aggression that Direwolves might not be ready for. I will say Direwolves have been playing really well considering, and I hate to rag on, but like Ray has literally not been in the server for most of this game. I mean, obviously it's not all about kills, but when you see that he's got 9 deaths while still not finding many picks, that's the concern. Hate to rag on him, but he's just not having a great game. And the fact that Direwolves are really pulling through here is quite an impressive feat, but Elevate need this win to get off the bottom of the whole bloody standings for stage 3.
Yeah, it's definitely looking a little grim for Direwolves, and to your point, yeah, I think off the back of Ray having a bit of a shocker, it's been quite the grind for them to even get it to this point. They still have this chance at overtime. Now, ED lurking on the freezer stairs. Don't see him getting out of this position without Elevate knowing about it, so the sneakiness really stops here. But this has been pretty decent so far from Direwolves. First 90 seconds.
Oh no!
Bit of a failed frag grenade there, though. That could be costly because they had done a good job with those stuns, and ED has actually found that opening. This could be a big deal onto BG Man.
His position should be revealed now, but it doesn't matter. He's just the lurker. He's just supporting the push and looking to exploit. Direwolves really need to turn their attention to Napier here in showers. This is the player that is going to have an impact if they can't clear him. Nade goes through again. ED downed and then finished off. Napier does find one in showers. As he rotates back to the hallway, Elevate. They have the man advantage, but they don't have everything they need to make an execute happen. 45 seconds left on the clock, and there's still so much potential here. Elevate, hold on even further, and Direwolves, oh my god! It looks like this is how Elevate gets their win over Direwolves, with an explosive finish on Kitchen Dining, and Direwolves fall apart at the final hurdle. Elevate a much-needed win here on Oregon as they start to try and salvage their season.
Yeah, even still, it was a tough fight. I mean, 7-5 is so close, and we were looking at a situation where Direwolves, they could have been the ones to be at 6-5. Like, this could have been an overtime, but at the end of the day, Elevate dug deep. They pulled out the win. They pulled out that kitchen dining victory. But yeah, it really was a hard-fought victory for that roster.
And one that they have been looking for such a long time.